Okay, so we've successfully begun our case. Where are we going to go next? Well, we're going to go to the registry. So what is the registry? The registry is kind of like a directory. It stores a lot of information, a lot of rules, among other things, on Windows computers. And so what you're going to go ahead and do is you're going to go Windows key R, and then run something called regedit, which lets us look at our own registry. Be very careful when you're doing this though, because if you delete some rules or values or anything, it doesn't turn out well. The registry is very sensitive and it's very important, so be careful. And with that being said, we are going to go over a little bit of the basics of the registry. So, first things first, there are what are called subtrees, and there are 5 of them. So this is your computer, and each of these right here is a subtree of the computer, okay? And so this one, HKey classes root, is abbreviated HKCR. This one, HKCU, HKLM, HKU, and HKCC. The class's root folder contains information about file extensions and object linking and embedding. HKCU contains user information, preferences and settings about users, particularly the one that is currently logged on. Well, not particularly, only the one that is currently logged on. Next is your local machine. It's going to contain computer-specific information such as software, hardware, and security. Users is going to contain user information from the user currently logged on, the default profile, and all the system accounts. So system accounts are the guest account and the administrator account. And the current config is going to be created during the boot process and contain information associated with hardware configuration. So a bunch of hardware things. This can really mess with your computer. Okay, and then under HKLM, there are what are called hives, right? The main ones that we're going to be discussing are system, software, security, and SAM. Those all correspond to these 4 all correspond, and the other ones as well, but those 4 are the ones we're going to be discussing, all correspond to files within your system32 config folder. And those are called hives. Next thing we're going to discuss are value types. So right here you can see type, and and each type, there are different types. So there's regSZ. A full list is available on the PDF. I may also try to put a pull list on the screen right now. Let's see here. If we go to current user, there's another one called regdword. There's regbinary, regexpand SZ, regnone, which is no value. There are a bunch of different values, and it determines what the registry listing means, basically. You can have a path or whatnot. So it'll determine what type of data you have. It's not like, if you don't understand, that's totally fine. I only have a limited understanding of this part as well. Then we're going to want to talk a little bit about user profiles. So if we go to HKey users right here, we're going to be given these folders right here. And so all of these are in a certain format. It's S dash something, right? So S identifies this folder as an SID. It's just a type of identification. So then the first number after it is going to be the SID version. The second number is then going to be the domain, the identifier authority, then the domain identifier, and then the relative identifier. And those all have particular uses, and they're important for different reasons, but we're not really going to talk about that right now. Another thing you're going to want to look at is at the end of these identifiers, there's going to be a number. So you cannot see the 500 and 501 numbers here because I believe I have them disabled. So the folders with 500 and 501 at the end of the SID are the administrator and guest accounts, and anything above 1,000, like this 1,001 right here, is going to be a user. And since there's only one user on my machine, there's only one of these. If there were more users, the next user would likely be 1002. So why is the registry important? So there are a lot of values in the registry that can tell you a lot about the person's computer. And two very major important things that the registry can tell us about are the operating system and the time zone. And if we know the time zone, we know more about when what was happening. So Autopsy goes to the effort of searching through the registry for us for these important pieces of information if we run an ingest module called recent activity. So I'm going to let that run and I'll get back to you once again. Okay, so we had a problem with our ingest module for the registry. Recent activity only returned these right here. And there should be, actually let me grab a picture of it really quickly. Our recent activities extraction should look something a little bit more like, hold on, this right here. So instead of just having recent documents, web bookmarks, web cookies, web downloads, and web form autofill, which is what we have over here, we should have a few more. And in this case, what we are looking at are operating system information and operating system user accounts. So I did a little bit of digging into the system files. So Windows, from Windows you're going to want to go to System32, and from System32 you're going to want to open the config folder, and then in the config folder right here under regback we have the 4 hives that we were talking about earlier. However, when we look at these hives, we can check what the string of the hex value is, but we can also see that it's just a bunch of zeros, right? So it's going to tell us that there is no text, which basically means it was erased somehow. So we can actually obtain information about the operating system or the time zone based off of these files because they are white, and that would be why the scan was failing. However, I'm going to go over the process of what you would do should you actually successfully have gotten to this point. So you'd get the operating system information right here. Be able to click on this, it would tell you that it's Windows 10 Education. If you wanted to, you could then go to the software. This is a different screenshot. So this is an example screenshot. Now we're back to the computer itself. You can see that here it would say it's Windows 8.1 Pro, so that's what Craig was on. You can right click that and view source in the directory, and then you can extract the system file, which is something that I actually was able to do with my own Windows computer here. So I ran regedit, right? I said yes, and what I can do now is I can right click this, and export it. And I can save it as, I don't know, which file was it? Security. Actually, I'd rather do system for the purpose of this lesson. So you can play around with your own registry if you want to by exporting it. Make sure you don't make any changes. So I made a file right here. Let's see here. I should be able to go like this. You guys can see the file right here, right? This file. If you double click it and open it, it will add it to your registry. So if you change the file, make sure you don't open it with anything other than the tool I'm about to discuss, which would be Registry Explorer. That's the name of the tool. It's right there. Good job, Donovan. Basically, you'd extract it and you'd open it in Registry Explorer. First, you have to download Registry Explorer. So how would you do that, right? Well, you would go to here. You can click on this link right here. It's going to take us to Eric Zimmerman's tools. And if you scroll down, you'll see Registry Explorer RECMD. You click that. It's going to download a zip file. Once you get the zip file, which I happen to already have on my desktop right now, you would take the zip file, right click it, extract all. I already have it, so I'm going to replace the files that are there. It's going to extract all the photos or files. You won't have to replace the files in the folder, assuming you haven't already downloaded it. Can click it, can run registryexplorer.exe. Give it a second. And then once you've run registryexplorer.exe, you can go ahead and follow the instructions listed in the training manual, which are going to be right here. You're going to right-click file, or not right-click file, just click File, load the offline hive, and you can look around in current version. This is the directory you'd be looking in, Microsoft Windows NT current version, and it'll tell you the product name, what type of Windows it is. So next you'd take a look at the system hive. You want to go to control/time zone information, and the time zone key name is going to have a name, Pacific Standard Time, which is West Coast time basically. It's time zone in California, which is where this challenge is occurring. However, another thing you can check is this active time bias right here. It says 480, right? So that's going to be minutes, and that's going to be how far it is off UTC. It's like a global reference for all of the time zones in the world. So it's 480 minutes off of it. So if you divide 480 by 60, you get 8 hours. So 8 hours off of UTC is going to be also leading us to think that this is Pacific Standard Time. And the next file you're going to want to look at is the software hive. If you go to current version, profile list, right? You can see the profile lists. I showed you the profile lists on my computer. We had the local system, we had the local service, and I believe we had the network service as well. And then we get one user right here, and we know that because right here it says 1001, and we remember from earlier that anything with a final number of anything over 1,000 is going to be a user. And you can see that this path, the path to this user, is going to be C users Craig. So we can take it that this user is going to be Craig. And then if we went to the SAM hive, check domain accounts users, you can see that these ones right here, you can tell by these hex values. If you convert them to decimal, these are what they would be equal to. So that's going to be the admin account, the guest account, and the user account from what we went over again. And under these you can find some NTLM hashes sorted by syskey, and syskey is an encryption key that basically checks hashes to make sure when you log on is the person logging on with the right password. And well, if he has an insecure password, it's probably been leaked online somewhere in a data leak. Someone else probably has a similar insecure password. So using Offcrack, a great tool. I'm going to run a demo of Offcrack in this next video as a little exploration. But you can take the encrypted SAM drive, or the registry, meaning you can load it into Offcrack, and you can use one of these tables in Offcrack to crack the passwords, and so you'd end up with having Craig's password being hungry123. And that's going to about do it for this video. I'll see you in the next one. Did you like that video? We'll make it easy for you. You won't have to crane your neck to get information if you sign up either to join the California Cyber Innovation Challenge or just to get notified when we put more videos out. Check the link below.